Hi, I'm Dr. Jesse Reagan, President of Delaware Chiropractic Society. I want to start off by saying thank you. I love what I do every day. I love chiropractic, and I love being able to serve chiropractors in Delaware and serve the patients of chiropractors in Delaware. So the purpose of the video today is to just set a few things straight. There's a bit of a misunderstanding between the different organizations, what each one of the organizations in Delaware do, for good reason. You have DCS, you have DCSN, you have a PAC, you have a state board. You know, what do each one of these things do? And do they all really need to exist? So we're going to go through a little bit today and just talk about what each one of these organizations do. First and foremost, I'm going to talk to you about what DCS does. The Delaware Chiropractic Society is a nonprofit organization set up by chiropractors, for chiropractors, and the patients of chiropractors. The primary things that we do is we give you a voice at Legislative Hall. We give you a voice up with all of our senators and representatives and the governor. We also provide a lot of continuing education. So we provided all continuing education credits for 2019 into 2020. So big things we do. I'm going to put voice up here first because that's a big thing, and continuing education. And we did a lot of it virtually last year. We had to jump through some hoops to make that happen, and I think we had some really nice events. The Delaware State Board, they fall under the Governor's Office, the Department of Professional Regulation. They're primarily concerned with issues around licensure, so they kind of create the standards for practice, create the standards for continuing education, approve and disapprove different things, and then of course, you know, any disciplinary actions. So they're primarily concerned with, you know, licensure and enforcing the rules as they may be. The Delaware Chiropractic Services Network, DCSN, separate from DCS, is a for-profit organization. Their primary purpose is to facilitate contracts between chiropractors and insurance providers. And I want to say this because that is something that the state board and the state society cannot legally do. We can get into a lot of trouble, and there's been examples of that happening in other states. So their primary purpose here is to facilitate insurance contracts. So with that said, I will say this, that when I call DCSN, typically I talk to another chiropractor. I may or may not agree with that chiropractor, but I get to talk to a chiropractor who, all of which still practice chiropractic. So that's a strength that we have with DCSN. Whether or not we agree or disagree on certain topics, that's a strength that we have to keep in mind when we're looking at these different relationships. So, where's the funding come from? That's a big question too. For DCS and the PAC, we ask for dues and a PAC donation. So this is $300 annually. This is $250 annually. Oops, I can write, I promise. So total of $550 for an entire year. You get a voice in the at Legislative Hall. You get continuing education, networking, all these different things. The state board, they're a state board. They get funding from taxes just like any other state organization. And DCSN, they're a for-profit organization, and that's where your 10% comes from. So those of you who participate, you know what I'm talking about. We don't see any of that money. So the Delaware Chiropractic Society and the Delaware Chiropractic Services Network, the finances do not mix at all. So we're completely reliant on charity and goodwill of our members, and we appreciate all who have continued to support us over the years. So let's talk a little bit more too about what it is that each one of these organizations does. One really key part of what it is that we do is we go down to Legislative Hall, and again, that's where we advocate. We hire a lobbyist through the DCS money, and then with the DCS PAC money, we fund that lobbyist to go to different organizations. He gives those donations to the different representatives. That's all that money does, and I've been trying to get a little bit more transparency with that. but that's what that money goes to within the PAC. We pay for the lobbyist, and then he or the officers of DCS take the money to fundraising events for the representatives. DCSN also has a lobbyist and uses some of their money from the 10% to go to Legislative Hall. They're really good at what they do. Together, there have been some big victories for chiropractic in Delaware, and I would say that I think it's a great place to practice. It's not perfect, but if you look at some of the other states, we have some really good laws on the books that protect us as chiropractors and also protect our patients. So that's where our efforts come together. Where the efforts may not always come together is when we start looking at things as they pertain to specifically to chiropractors in Delaware and our patients. So again, DCSN is a for-profit organization who has certain contracts underneath of their belt. So when they go into Legislative Hall, these are the things that are on their mind. When we go into Legislative Hall, it is purely for chiropractic and chiropractic patients. So the question you need to answer today, the question you really need to dig deep and ask yourself today is, what voices do you want at Legislative Hall? Is DCSN doing a great job? Is that the only voice that we want at Legislative Hall? Because we're going to continue paying our 10%. And they're going to continue funding their lobbyists. But you have a choice to participate with DCS. And another point that I'm going to make is that at some point in your contract or in your career as a chiropractor, you're very likely going to interact with the state board. You're very likely going to interact with DCSN. Last week, I had the governor's office called me and asked for recommendations because there's going to be some openings on the board of chiropractic. We recommended 2 very well qualified DCS members. So now we have, I believe, all of the chiropractors on the board are DCS members. We also have a very good working relationship with DCSN. So you call my office, you call the Delaware Chiropractic Society. You have an issue that maybe I can handle, maybe I can't answer. I'll know where to send you, or I'll make the phone call myself. So again, the question that you need to answer today is, what voice do you want for chiropractors and chiropractic patients in Delaware? If DCSN is it, by all means. Don't support DCS, don't support the PAC. But if you value that other voice, if you value having a liaison between the other organizations, if you value networking, if you value continuing education for chiropractors in Delaware, then please consider joining, staying a member, and supporting our PAC. Have a great day, have a great week in practice, and thanks again for allowing me to serve you and your patients.